The haircut I thought was harmless, until it silenced my confidence for a decade. There was a time in my life when I believed I was doing everything right. I chose a safe haircut, something low maintenance, age appropriate, and recommended for women my age. I wasn't trying to stand out. I just wanted to feel polished, put together, maybe even invisible. But what I didn't realize was that that haircut quietly chipped away at my confidence, year after year. No one told me it was making me look older than I really was. No one warned me that it flattened my face, dragged down my expression, and stole the warmth from my features. And certainly no one explained how much power a haircut could hold over the way I saw myself. If you've ever looked in the mirror and felt disconnected from the woman staring back, if you've ever wondered why a fresh cut leaves you feeling less than instead of renewed, or if you're just tired of styles that claim to be anti-aging but leave you feeling anything but youthful, then this video might just change the way you think about hair, aging, and beauty forever. Because this isn't just a story about a bad haircut. It's about how we, as mature women, are often handed generic advice, told what's appropriate but not what's empowering. And more importantly, it's about how you can reclaim your confidence, your elegance, and your unique beauty, starting with the hair that frames your face. Along the way, we'll uncover the most common hairstyles that age you, explore truly anti-aging haircuts for women over 60, and talk about the small changes that make a big difference in how you feel inside and out. But first, let me take you back to the moment I realized something wasn't right. The haircut that aged me, 10 years without me realizing it. It was supposed to be practical. That's what I told myself when I sat in the salon chair and asked for the same haircut I'd had for years. Chin length, no layers, no bangs, no volume, just a straight, blunt cut that barely moved. It framed my face like a curtain of silence, neither flattering nor offensive, just safe. At the time, I thought I was being smart. I wasn't chasing trends. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I just wanted to manage my hair easily and avoid mistakes. But here's the truth. No one told me. Playing it safe can sometimes be the biggest mistake of all. I didn't notice it right away. I just started avoiding mirrors. I stopped smiling in photos. I'd glance at myself in passing and feel this dull ache, like something was off. But I couldn't quite name it. My face looked heavier. My skin looked dull. I looked tired and older than I felt, not by 1 or 2 years, by 10. The irony, I thought the haircut was making me look more polished. In reality, it was one of the most common hairstyles that make you look older, especially for women in their 50s and 60s. What I didn't understand back then was how much structure and shape matter, especially as our facial features naturally soften with age. A blunt cut with no movement can emphasize sagging or puffiness. A lack of layers can pull the eye downward, especially around the jawline. And flat styles, they can take the life right out of your entire look. I wish someone had gently pulled me aside and said, "Sweetheart, this style isn't aging gracefully, it's just aging you." But that conversation never happened. And like so many mature women trying to make the responsible choice, I stayed stuck in a haircut that whispered insecurity into my ear for nearly a decade. Until one day I sat in a different salon chair, feeling braver than usual, and asked myself, what if the real problem isn't my face, but the frame around it? That moment changed everything. And yet, before I found the right style, I made another big mistake. One that many women make when trying to look younger, but often ends up doing the opposite. The mistake of chasing youth through trendy cuts. After nearly a decade of hiding behind a lifeless haircut, I thought I'd finally found the answer. Do the opposite. Go bold. Take risks. If the safe look was dragging me down, then maybe something trendy, youthful, and edgy would pull me back up. So I did what so many women over 60 are told to do. I reached for youth by copying styles made for someone decades younger than me. The stylist was young, energetic, and full of ideas. She suggested wispy layers, platinum highlights, and a choppy, shag-like cut that, according to her, would take years off. And in the mirror, for a moment, I believed it. It looked fresh. It looked fun. But deep down, it didn't look like me. And here's what no one tells you about trendy haircuts versus timeless looks. What flatters a 25-year-old influencer doesn't always translate to a woman with wisdom in her eyes and stories behind her smile. Within weeks, the bright highlights started to clash with my complexion. The overly layered cut lost its shape, making my hair look thinner than it was. And the youthful style felt like a costume, something I was wearing, not something I owned. I felt out of place in my own reflection. And maybe you've felt that too. That moment when you try a new style, hoping it'll reignite something inside, only to realize it's not age you're fighting. It's the pressure to look like someone you no longer are. That's when I began to understand the power of anti-aging hairstyles for women over 60. Not because they chase trends, but because they honor what's real. It's not about going younger, it's about going deeper. Finding a haircut that enhances who you are now, not who you used to be. A great style doesn't scream for attention, it whispers confidence. It lifts your face, softens your edges, and makes you feel like you again. But first, I had to unlearn everything I thought I knew about beauty, aging, and the role hair plays in how we show up in the world. Because the real impact of a haircut isn't always about how it looks, it's about how it makes you feel. And for me, the damage ran deeper than I thought, affecting not just my style, but my self-worth and even my relationships. How my haircut quietly damaged my confidence and relationships. No one ever talks about how a haircut can hurt your heart. It doesn't happen all at once. It's quiet, subtle. You wake up one day and realize you're avoiding mirrors, not because you hate yourself, but because the woman staring back feels unfamiliar. That was me. I didn't cry about my haircut. I didn't complain. I just faded. I stopped getting dressed up. I turned down invitations. I posed stiffly in photos, forcing smiles I didn't feel, always angling my head away from the camera. And somewhere in that process, I lost a piece of myself. No one tells you that your hairstyle affects your confidence more than you realize, especially after 60, when every feature we've grown into, every line, every curve, deserves softness, not harsh outlines. But my haircut wasn't just wrong for my face, it was wrong for my spirit. It made me shrink, not just physically, but emotionally. I felt smaller, quieter, less seen. And it didn't stop at me. My relationship with my husband changed too. Not because he said anything cruel, he didn't. But when I didn't feel beautiful, I pulled away, I stopped flirting, I stopped laughing freely, I stopped showing up as the vibrant woman he fell in love with. When I finally told him how I felt, he looked at me, genuinely confused, and said, "But you're always beautiful to me. I just miss seeing you light up." That moment broke something open in me. It wasn't really about hair. It was about how the wrong hairstyle was dimming the light I used to shine so naturally. And if that sounds dramatic, I promise you, it's not. Because hair isn't just hair. It's part of our identity. It frames our emotions, influences how others see us, and more importantly, how we see ourselves. And when your reflection no longer matches your essence, everything else starts to feel out of sync. I didn't need to look 20 again. I needed to look like me again. That realization changed everything. It pushed me to start asking new questions about shape, softness, and what actually flatters a woman in her 60s. And that's exactly what I'll share with you next. The essential tips I wish I knew sooner about finding a haircut that truly lifts, softens, and celebrates the beauty of an aging face. How to choose a haircut that lifts and flatters your face. After 60. The truth is, time changes our features, but that doesn't mean we have to hide them. We just need to frame them differently. As we age, the angles of our face soften. The jawline isn't as defined, the cheeks may lose volume, and skin naturally becomes more delicate. But a well-chosen haircut can act like a soft focus lens, lifting your features, brightening your expression, and restoring harmony to your appearance. So how do you find a haircut that does that? Let's start with one of the most overlooked mistakes, ignoring your face shape. Many women over 60 default to styles they've worn for decades, without realizing their face has evolved, and so should their cut. If you're noticing a less defined jawline or heaviness around the lower face, you're not alone. But you don't need surgery. You need a haircut that lifts. Look for styles that add gentle height at the crown, include soft, face-framing layers, avoid heaviness near the chin, keep the volume around the temples and cheekbones, not the jaw. A side-swept bang, for instance, can create an instant lift and draw the eye upward. Layering around the cheekbone can restore youthful structure. Even the length of your cut matters. Sometimes, just trimming a few inches above the shoulder can take years off without looking like you're trying too hard. And when it comes to the best haircuts for sagging jawlines, opt for movement over bluntness. Blunt cuts weigh your face down. Soft layers lighten it up, visually and emotionally. Another important detail, color. Monotone shades can wash you out, but subtle dimension, like lowlights or warm undertones, can warm the skin and enhance your natural glow. This is not about chasing trends. It's about choosing a flattering hairstyle for women over 60 that complements your current self without trying to reclaim the past. I wish someone had told me this years ago. Your haircut shouldn't fight your face, it should lift it with grace. When you find that balance, something beautiful happens. You don't just look better. You feel more present, more yourself, and others notice it too. In fact, that's what led me to the turning point of my story. The moment I found the right person, a hairstylist who understood my age, my features, and most importantly, my spirit. And that changed everything. Let me tell you how meeting the right hairstylist completely transformed the way I saw myself. The hairstylist who finally saw me and helped me see myself again. I almost canceled the appointment. I'd booked it at a salon I'd never been to before. The reviews mentioned that the stylist specialized in haircuts for older women, and something about that made me feel both hopeful and hesitant. Would she really understand what I was going through? Would she see the years I carried, not as flaws to fix, but as parts of who I was becoming? I walked in with low expectations, but what I got was someone who truly saw me. She didn't rush, she didn't assume. She sat me down, looked me in the eye, and asked, "How do you want to feel when you walk out of here?" No one had ever asked me that before. Most stylists had focused on what was trendy or what was easy to maintain, but this woman understood something deeper, something that matters so much more when you're over 60. She saw the woman behind the haircut. I told her I wanted to feel lighter, not just in weight, but in spirit. I wanted to feel seen again, alive again, me again. She smiled and said, "Then let's create a shape that mirrors that energy." What followed was unlike any appointment I'd ever had. She touched my hair with intention, sculpting soft layers that lifted my face. She recommended a subtle warm tone to add vibrancy to my complexion, and she explained every decision, not as a sales pitch, but like a friend helping me step back into myself. The result? It wasn't just the best haircut for women over 60, it was a homecoming. I looked in the mirror, and for the first time in years, I recognized the woman looking back. I looked softer, brighter, not younger necessarily, but more me than I'd been in a long, long time. And my husband? He didn't say I looked pretty. He said, "There you are." That's when I realized the right haircut isn't just about beauty, it's about being seen. So if you're still going to the same salon that doesn't listen to you, if you're settling for stylists who don't specialize in salons for mature women, maybe it's time for something new. Seek out someone who understands this stage of life, who knows how to work with your hair as it changes, who celebrates your age, not hides it. Because when you find that kind of stylist, you don't just get a haircut, you get a reflection that finally matches the woman you've become. And that's when the real transformation begins, not just on the outside, but deep within. Let me show you what happened when I walked out of that salon and into a whole new version of myself. The transformation. How one haircut changed my spirit, my style, and my life. I didn't expect a haircut to change the way I walked, but it did. There was something different about the way I carried myself after I left that salon. My shoulders were a little straighter, my smile came a little easier, and when I passed by a mirror, I didn't look away. That first week, people noticed. Friends said I looked refreshed. My neighbor asked if I'd just come back from vacation, but the truth is, I hadn't gone anywhere. I had simply come back to myself. It's amazing what happens when your outer appearance finally reflects your inner essence. I started choosing different clothes, softer lines, more color, better fit. I began experimenting with makeup again, not to hide anything, but to enhance what was already there. Even my energy shifted. I laughed more. I said yes to more things. I started showing up in my own life again. This wasn't just about hair. This was about confidence after 60, real, grounded confidence, the kind that doesn't shout for attention, but gently radiates from within. And here's the beautiful thing, that transformation didn't come from looking younger. It came from looking like me, just with more intention, more light, and more care. When we talk about reinventing yourself after 60, we often think it has to be big or dramatic. But sometimes it starts with something as small and powerful as a haircut. That cut reminded me that it's never too late to feel beautiful again, that aging doesn't mean fading, that we are allowed to evolve, to express, to be seen in new and vibrant ways. It was a return to elegance, not in a flashy way, but in a quiet, self-assured way. And that's what true beauty looks like after 60. Not perfection, not pretending, but presence. And let me say this as clearly as I can. You don't need permission to begin again. If you've been feeling stuck, invisible, or disconnected from your reflection, know that you are not alone, and you are not too late. Sometimes the smallest changes unlock the biggest shifts. For me, it was a haircut. For you, it might be just the beginning of something even greater. And if you're wondering where to start, how to take that first step toward a style that finally feels like you, then what I'll share next is exactly what you need. Where to begin? Gentle, doable, first steps if you're feeling lost with your hair. If you're sitting there thinking, that sounds lovely, but I don't even know where to begin, you're not alone. After years, sometimes decades of putting everyone else first, it can feel overwhelming to turn that care inward. But here's the truth. You don't need a dramatic makeover to feel like yourself again. You just need a starting point. And the most powerful first step, curiosity. Start by asking yourself, how do I want to feel when I look in the mirror? Not how you should look, not what's trendy. But what emotion do you want reflected back at you? Once you know the feeling, whether it's softness, elegance, ease, energy, you can begin to make small, intentional shifts that align with that vision. If a full haircut feels too big right now, try this. Begin with a subtle change. Face framing layers can instantly soften your look. Add a side-swept bang to lift the face and draw attention to the eyes. Consider playing with color, not drastic highlights, but gentle dimension to warm the skin. These small changes can have a surprisingly big emotional impact. It's not about chasing youth. It's about inviting back the parts of you that may have gotten buried under responsibility, routine, or self-doubt. And if you're feeling unsure, look around. There are thousands of hair transformation stories for older women out there. Real women, just like you, who decided to make a change not to look younger, but to feel whole again. Let those stories inspire you, not intimidate you, because your story is uniquely yours. And whether you're ready for a full transformation or just want to dip a toe into something new, every step matters. You might start by, following hairstylists who specialize in anti-aging hairstyles or women, 60 plus, saving photos of cuts you're drawn to, even if you can't explain why, booking a consultation, not a full cut, to just talk with a stylist and feel things out, or simply standing in front of the mirror and asking, what if I gave myself permission to change? There's no right way to begin. There's only your way, and the only thing you truly need is a willingness to try. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to desire beauty on your own terms, and you are allowed to reconnect with the woman who's still in there, waiting. And if you've made it this far in the video, I want to leave you with one final truth, a message I wish someone had told me 10 years ago when I felt stuck, invisible, and unsure of who I was becoming. Conclusion: you are not too late to feel beautiful again. If no one's said it to you lately, let me be the one to say it now. You are not too late, not too old, not too far gone, not too behind to feel radiant again. I know what it's like to look in the mirror and feel like something's missing. I know the quiet ache of fading into the background. But I also know the quiet power of coming back to life, one intentional choice at a time. For me, it started with a haircut. Not just any cut, one that honored where I was in life, what I'd been through, and where I was going. It wasn't about looking younger, it was about feeling whole. And I want that for you, too. Whether you're exploring anti-aging hairstyles, rethinking your routine, or simply starting to believe you deserve something more, this video was never just about hair. It's about freedom, to evolve, to express, to remember that aging is not a decline, it's a redefinition. So take that first step, reclaim your confidence, and remind yourself that the best haircuts for women over 60 aren't about turning back time. They're about turning toward yourself fully and beautifully. If this story touched something in you, I invite you to stay. There's so much more we can explore together: style, self-worth, softness, strength. You're not on this journey alone, and if you're ready to go deeper, don't miss our next video: 10 elegant hairstyles that instantly lift your face after 60. You'll get real-life examples, styling tips, and inspiring looks tailored for the woman you are now. Until then, be gentle with yourself. You've earned it.